You make this distinction in your writing to this behavior thing, the trail of destruction. And I think it's the heart of, honestly, the whole conversation we're having today. Testing between what someone can do versus how they can do it. And, behavior is this biggest predictor of success. Where does that conviction come from for you? I want to know a little bit more of the history there and, what changed when you started hiring that way.
I'm a convert to all of this. My general belief was we write a job description and we'll probably do some research on other just job descriptions out there. We'll take what we like. I like to call that now Frankenstein's job description. Job description, I don't think a lot of founders appreciate this, is that is not a blueprint for being successful in a role. That's just a list of activities you want someone to do. So you're just defining what I want you to do in the role, not how I want you to do it, right? And so I would start with that. I would go meet them. I'd go test their skills, the how, right? Can you do this? Can you do that? Set you an exercise, blah, blah, blah. And then I thought, then I'll have them meet some of the team. And if the team go, yeah, they seem nice, I can work with them, we'll hire them, right? And that's kind of a non-controversial way of thinking about it. But then, earlier in my career, I worked for a boss who really drilled into this idea of be like, no, 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 the biggest predictor of success is past and present behavior, not necessarily the skill. And I was very, very skeptical about this, right? Really. Until I started to go on interviews with him and to actually like be his note taker, and then we would swap, and then I would do the interview and he would take the notes. And I actually realized what we're really doing when we're testing behavior is we're trying to elicit a story from the candidate about something they've really done. And one of the biggest mistakes people make in interviews is they ask hypothetical questions about what you would do. And you can't assess their behavior from that. That's a test. Most people could figure that out if they're smart. I want to know what you have done. So a really good example would be, Danielle, tell me about a time when your ideas were resisted by a prospect. What did you do? I'm trying to get a real story from you. And as you are telling me this story, I'm going to follow up everything that you say with either a follow-up question that begins with what, how, or tell me more. What was it about the objection that made you do that? How did the prospect receive that feedback? Why did you do it that way? Or if I want them just to talk more because I haven't learned enough, I go, just tell me more about that, Daniel. It sounds really simple when they lay it out, but it's something people very rarely do. Like, I'm going to ask you for an example or a situation. Could you tell me about a time when this happened? And I'm going to drill down with what, how, tell me more. I'm going to be gathering data that's going to point to your behavior. Why did you do it that way? What was the reaction? What happened when X happened? I'm checking the veracity of your story, because if you can drill down and tell me all those things, this thing clearly really happened. But I'm also checking your thinking, your approach. Why did you reach out to your boss at that point? Well, I realized that I had reached the limit of my experience and I needed to pull in someone more senior. All right, great. This person knows how to collaborate. They know when to bring in help. I'm starting to test the behaviors that I am or am not looking for.
Yeah, that's really smart. And I think like drilling down, like digging for more information, getting them to, as you say, like test the veracity of their story, because everyone can have that on like a surface level.
Yeah, surface level is absolutely the right way to describe it. Oftentimes in interviews are a process of data collection and discovery if you're doing it right. A lot of people will give a surface level answer or point to their resume, which is the ultimate surface level answer, and then no one digs any deeper. Yeah, and it's actually the digging deeper, surface level 1, level 2, level 3, that's where you will really get at the heart of the information that you're looking for.
Yeah, I think something we see is interviews can be approached as more of like a checklist. And it's like, okay, they answered that question, so move on to the next, versus what you're saying is like the digging deeper and like maybe staying on that one question for a bit longer than even feels comfortable, but you're getting a lot more information than just like surface level answer, move on to the next, surface level answer, move on to the next.